Good evening. The Toronto Raptors lose 126-107 to the Orlando Magic. Um, there was a clip of Bones Highland going around a couple weeks ago saying he didn't understand what was going on with the in-season tournament, and I think the Raptors are kind of in the same boat here. They don't really seem to care about the in-season tournament, and tonight just get completely embarrassed. I mean, I put it in the thumbnail. For me, the main story is the Magic took 25 more shots. I mean, both teams didn't shoot it that well. Both were around 50%, but when one team gets 25 more shots, and a huge reason for that is their offensive rebounding was crazy. Like you had like Anthony Black and Gary Harris and all these little guys getting rebounds over Precious Achiuwa, who I don't know. Next time someone does like a Precious Achiuwa feature, can you just ask him what he works on? Because again, he's like first guy in the gym, last guy to leave. I know he's really into wine and DJing, but in terms of like skill development, I'd be really interested to learn like what he works on. The Raptors bench after three quarters, I haven't checked the garbage time minutes, but after three quarters had a combined 11 points. The entire bench had 11 points combined. Yeah, this game was hilarious. I mean, you have OG Anunoby getting called for a flop, which I'll probably make a video on because my angle on that is like he falls every 4 seconds. I put a Raptors yoga chart out, and I think have Jakob Hurdle and maybe Gary as like less yoga ish. So yeah, calling a flop on that play, like you must not watch the Toronto Raptors very much because yeah, and then like a few plays or next quarter, like OG was in transition. There's so many funny moments in this game where he's just like running down the floor and then he just kind of holds the ball as he's like keeps running and took like 18 steps. I thought Pascal got away with like 7 travels. Like the Magic bench was losing its mind because Pascal was honestly traveling like every other possession. I even as like a Raptor enjoyer, I was like, oh my God. I mean, you got Jalen Suggs. It's just like, I think the only two people that like take any pride in like winning against the Raptors are Jalen Suggs and James Dolan. Everybody else is just like, yeah, whatever, it's the Raptors. But those two are like hell bent on revenge. I put it on Twitter, like John Krejci getting pied by some guy who, and that's what Jalen Suggs feel like he would do to Messiah if he saw him in like the back hallway, just like pie him right in the face. Like he came out like first 5 plays of the game, he was just going nuts. And like I knew this game was over when he hit the Gonzaga UCLA shot. If anybody remembers Jalen Suggs at Gonzaga in that March Madness game where he hit like a half court three and it banked in and then he jumped on the table and lost his mind back when he had hair. And like now he did that like almost the same shot. He didn't jump up on the bench, but like it was the same banking, like, and once he banked in that three, it was like the end of the first quarter. I think I was like, this game's over. Like there's no way the Raptors are winning this game. I don't think anybody on the Raptors played well. Maybe Dennis, you could say. I thought Scotty was passive. I thought Pascal was traveling all the time, and like his turnovers are just so ugly when they happen. I didn't think anybody really played good defense. Like it's early in the game, I mean, this was, what was it, 126, 107. It could have been way more. It felt like way more. And like the Raptors were never in this game at all. Like it wasn't even. The Magic were just getting like so many easy buckets. Like I'm even wearing a Hugo Boss hoodie in honor of Franz and Mo Wagner. You know, it's like it's German night tonight because, man, like Mo Wagner and Jalen Suggs would be like key figures on the Raptors. Especially in terms of like energy, hustle. And I don't really, yeah, you know, it's nights like tonight where, you know, it's like nobody on the Raptors bench, I don't think is like super, super secure in their role or their contract or their money or what their future is. Not saying all of them, but a bunch of them. And I thought all the Raptors pretty much pretty much played pretty poorly, but the bench in particular, I mean, getting 11 points total in 3 quarters in your entire bench is like, I mean, that's just wild. Like, that's 3 points from one guy, 5 points from one guy, 3 points from another guy. That's it. Like, yeah, I don't know how you can expect to win games, and you could tell, like when Darko would call the timeouts, like you can tell when a coach is calling timeout. You can tell how pissed a coach is when they're calling timeouts with how far they walk onto the floor. And he was like coming in and walking basically to like the other end of the 3-point line. Like he went across like 60% of the court, like as he's calling the timeout. So, and there was one sequence in the second quarter where I think he called like 3 timeouts within, again, the second quarter thing. I saw the stats on this. I've been preaching this all season. The Raptors in the second quarter are like minus, it was something like minus 149 or something wild. And I'd kind of been saying that all like, it seems like every game, the second quarter, they just like don't give a fuck. I don't know what it is, but it's like been every single game. And they're rarely winning after the first quarter in a lot of these games. I think it was only like once or twice in the past little while that they've been winning after the first quarter, and then they go into the second quarter and just completely give the game away. And it's kind of happening so often. And really their comebacks are against teams that are like, you know, or had a kind of a weird off night, or like Milwaukee who just hadn't figured their shit out. I know the Magic are like the number 1 ranked defense, but I don't think that was like the main storyline. Like I don't think it was like the Magic defense that was like the headline. I think it's just, I mean, the Raptors defense was horrible. I mean, they were just, the amount of easy, especially like earlier in the game when the game was still like not over, just the amount of like not getting back in like their transition defense was, I mean, Jalen Suggs was playing football out there, playing quarterback and wide receiver, and just getting open buckets in transition, setting up guys for open buckets in transition. You have Cole Anthony getting easy buckets in transition. Like they made Jonathan Isaac look kind of nice. Like I could just imagine like Ben Shapiro and Ball Don't Stop talking about his shake and shimmy game and stuff, because like he was dancing around. I didn't know Jonathan Isaac had a Euro step in his bag, but against this defense he definitely did. I don't know, man. Give the Orlando Magic a free set of Amway products or something. Like these guys, they played really hard. And the Raptors continue to have these games where they just look like a meme. Like it's just a joke that they play like they don't really care. And they've admitted that, you know, they're not going to say that we don't care, but a lot of them have said it. Like Jakob has said, Gary said, Scotty said, like, we're not prepared enough coming into these games. We're not. And it's like, well, you know, the season's here, so ideally you would be prepared, you know? So, if you're a Raptor fan, like a diehard fan, I know some people are, and they get really like emotional about the team. Yeah, it definitely doesn't look good. I mean, the bench was just atrocious tonight, but I don't think the starters were like, you know, anything really special. And even like Joe Ingles was looking kind of nice. Like Nick Nurse's dad was out there. I had no idea Joe Ingles was on this team. I gotta admit, I had to do a double take. I hadn't thought about Joe Ingles as like a human. Like I hadn't had a synapse about Joe Ingles. He was getting into it with Dennis a little bit, and Dennis played like an okay game, I think, and he was getting into it a little bit, and then Scotty did his like look back dunk thing, which got a lot of boos from the Orlando crowd. And I mean, if you're the Orlando Magic, you know, and you're just what's the word, like not closeted Magic fan, but like a bubble. If you're in an Orlando Magic bubble and you don't really go out of that, I mean, no pun intended on the Orlando bubble. Wow, that was pretty cool actually. THC oil and caffeine hitting, but if you're like in the Orlando Magic bubble and you've been hearing all this hoopla about, you know, Scotty Barnes being the number 1 pick in the draft, and you only watched this game, I mean, you're like, hey man, this Suggs guy, like, why aren't they talking about Suggs on these podcasts? If you just looked at a 1-game sample, because yeah, I thought like Scotty has had a couple off games, but I felt like in this game he was like passive more so than off, and wasn't doing his like crazy screams. Just the whole like vibe and energy from the team, and like nobody really had it outside of Dennis being like, you know, pretty good or okay. And yeah, again, I mean, the only stat that really matters is the Orlando Magic had 25 more shots. So I'm not good at math, but I think you have to have a pretty big percentage gap in order for that to equal itself out. Because yeah, these were, I think, because these like the offensive defensive stats, like these teams are kind of similar in where they rank defense and offensively, and I don't know if they're built similarly, kind of ish, but they resemble each other in ways where like they're really good at defense. I mean, the Raptors, not tonight, but in general, and then they just can't really shoot. But here's a good take. The Magic kind of played like the Raptors did last season, where it's like we're gonna miss 50% of our shot, which isn't whatever. We're gonna miss half of our shots, but we're gonna take 100 shots because we're gonna crash the glass, and we're gonna have Anthony Black just. I don't know. Like, does Precious? I don't know. Does Precious Achua like know what a box out is? And he knows what a box of Merlot is. That's my joke. But like, again, I don't think it's that cool that he's into wine and DJing. Like DJing, especially nowadays with all the software and like cues and stuff you can have set up to like automatically beat match stuff for you, so you don't really have to know where the one is. Like, cool. Wow. And he like wine. Great. I liked wine when I was 13. So. Cool, really fucking cool. Can you box out? Can you make an intelligent decision on the perimeter? What's going on in the chat? I don't really have a ton of X and O's. I have more jokes, I think, about this game and this team and this roster construction. But what do you guys think in the chat? Really what did you guys think of Suggs tonight? Or as Alvin likes to call him, Alvin had, I don't know how many names did Alvin have for it was Shrugs. I think he called him Suge Knight at one point. Alvin needs to, you know, like in Silence of the Lambs with like Buffalo Bill in the mirror, Alvin needs to just like do something like that with a bunch of edibles and mushrooms, and just like maybe have Precious there, because I think Precious needs to do mushrooms. Precious needs to start a podcast or do mushrooms or something. Get better interest than wine and DJing, because it's so not fucking happening. Like, it's so not happening. He had that one game recently where he was like pretty good, but in general, like, it's just so not there. It's so not looking good. It's fucked. Like, it's totally fucked. And we've seen flashes of this in the past, but I think so far this season it's been way more fucked than like, hey, it looks pretty good. And like, yeah, he has a few, you know, possessions around the rim that look good, but in general, like, I don't know how many fucking times the Magic are out hustling and outworking everybody, and then the Raptors, like, in retaliation, like, they're trying to like blitzkrieg the Wagners, you know, like just ramming into people, and instead of like hustling and stuff, like bring that anger and that edge and bring it to like the fucking defensive end. Going into coach mode. Jimmy Pope says tough watch. Samson and R93 says, hey Raptor man, I love your moments. Okay, thank you. Got a new video out today. I just put out, or yesterday, I can't remember. Straight lazy. How many 30-point deficits will it take? Says Jimmy Pope. Yeah, I mean, how many times has this team been down? I feel like the broadcast said it, but I can't remember. They said how many times they've been down by 16. How many times have they been down by like 25 or 30? It feels like pretty much every other game. And yeah, I was thinking of like going into more of the advanced stats. I pretend that I don't know anything about stats, but I kind of do, but like not really enough to make that the basis of my talking points. But like, one of these days I do want to dig in and dive into some of the more advanced stats, so I can just rattle those off in conversation, because yeah, this team continues to just like not make any sense off the eye test. Suggs went from too cool for school to special ed Tourette's kid. Okay, how old are you? Giovanni, free Pascal Siakam. Did he play good tonight? What did Pascal do tonight? 5 for 10, 16 points. I mean, he had 8 assists. That was pretty good. I don't think anybody was good on defense. He only had 2 turnovers. It always feels like more with him. I think one of the reasons Pascal is haters, I took a picture of it with my laptop where he makes this face after he misses, and I know he's like laughing at himself, but he just like, he misses a lot, like an inch away from the basket. Like he finds creative ways to miss. Him and Jakob do that. And then he does this like weird, like self-deprecating laugh. But I think if you're not like locked in, it just looks like he's laughing. And I think that is what annoys a lot of people. That's like my half-baked analysis that I wrote down tonight. I jotted that down as a note. I thought that was pretty good. Like maybe it's a body language thing. Only a guy named AW8 says a guy named Precious can be this selfish. We can't be this selfish or can be Precious. His sibling's name is God's gift. In a game like tonight, I'm glad that's not Precious's name. Bang. Vegan grass. They miss a few buckets and they give up completely. Yeah, I haven't noticed that, but that's a good point. I don't think they're even ready on the jump balls. I don't know what the jump ball stats are, but they're not like, and a bunch of them have said like they're just not prepared for these games. You know, we get the open gym with the sexy moments and stuff, but they have not, in a majority of these games, have like not shown up ready and prepared to go. But I don't know. Do they need like Mark Wahlberg to come in and fucking read like Instagram inspiration quotes? Like 5 a.m. FBI, hashtag CIA, hashtag US Army, hashtag crushing it, hashtag let's go. Like what are they? Giovanni says second quarter turns into a shit show because Darko puts in Scotty and the bench lineup and they shit the bed. Okay, this is a very good point, and I don't understand. So lately I've been watching, there's a really good website called highlow.com. I'm not sure, but you can just watch. So you can watch every Scotty Barnes hook shot, for example. You can watch every Pascal Siakam turnover. You could watch every OG Anunoby turnover forced or whatever. And I watched all of Scotty's possessions 2 nights ago, but that hit me today or yesterday, where I was like, I heard somebody talk about it, and now I'm noticing it too, where like why are those lineups dog shit? Because in theory, like they shouldn't be. So I need to like go back and watch all of his possessions, like with the filter or with like the idea of specifically watching when he is in those lineups and like what's happening, because in theory, you know, that should work. I mean, the bench isn't great at shooting, but does anybody in the chat have any ideas on why those have been so unsuccessful? Because that is the lineup that is in for much of the second quarter, because Scotty's always like the first sub, the first guy out. He'll usually come out like, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes in the first, and they'll put him back in the second with that bench unit. And yeah, this I don't know why. I need to go back and watch all those. I mean, everybody's better with the starters pretty much like across the league, but it just seems like there's a huge drop off. And same with Gary. You know, Gary had that one game where he started, and that was pretty much his only like really good game. Suggs spitting all over the floor, and we look like we're not trying. Angelo says Grady loses us another game. You thought you were putting this on Grady? Man, you've had some wild comments, man, but that was like, that's crazy. Timber says Yak fouling out. Yeah. This is a tough matchup for Jakob because the Orlando Magic are athletic. So I'm not surprised he fouls out, because he's just not like athletic. Like he's not, on the yoga chart, he was the furthest on the ruler side and not the namaste side. He's just stiff. Like he's not. And so when he's kind of that half a step, like he sometimes he just looks like a guy who like just had knee surgery or something. Like something just looks. I think, did he have surgery recently? Like it just doesn't look like an NBA athlete a lot of the time. Like, I'm sorry. I don't know if that's rude, but like on a lot of plays, he just doesn't look like an NBA athlete. And then he has to struggle to get back into the play because he's slow and then he fouls. So a team like Orlando is going to be a nightmare for him. Detroit without Jalen Duren, like sure, you can get lots of blocks because Detroit sucks. But then, against a Magic team that's like decent now, and he just continues to be kind of they what's his name, Pat Delaney went on Raptors Tonight a couple nights ago and said that Jakob was like the offensive lineman. He's there to knock people and get the Raptors open shots. So you gave up a first round pick in a year where you're probably going to suck for an offensive lineman on a basketball team. So pretty cool, pretty fucking cool. So yeah, out of the starters, like Dennis was really the only kind of one that popped. He was 8 for 13. But then Dennis only had 1 assist, which was kind of wild. So I don't know if there were some like shots missed. But and it's like, Jakob's like not bad, 5 for 7 with 10 points and 10 rebounds. But that almost feels like it's like bad that I'm impressed with 5 of 7. Like that seems like one of the better Yak games, going 5 for 7 like that compared to a lot of games this year, and that's not amazing. So yeah, both teams shot exactly 50%. It's just that the Raptors went 38 for 75 and the Magic went 50 for 100. So, and from 3, the Raptors 14 for 28 from 3. Schroeder was 4 for 4 from 3. OG 3 for 5. The threes were going in. And in a game like this, when you're down by, 100 points pretty much all game, why not fire up more threes? 14 for 28 from 3. 50% from 3. Maybe get more threes up. Just a thought. I don't know. It's not that simple. I understand. I'm just fucking yapping. Devin Smith said Suggs was on that crack pipe tonight. Yeah, he's kind of replaced. Like the Raptors have lost Dwayne Casey as a villain, so like as a revenge villain, I feel like now Jalen Suggs is going to single-handedly hand the Raptors 4 losses every year. Raptors, where journeymen Chucker PGs get to run their own offense. Journeyman. I don't get it. Let me read that again. AW8, the Raptors, where journeymen Chucker PGs get to run their own offense. Okay, who are you talking about? Chucker PGs. I wanted Dennis to shoot more. Dennis was 8 for 13 and 4 for 4 from 3. Malachi was 1 for 2 from 3 in 19 minutes. What do you mean? What the fuck are you talking about? What? Where journeyman Chucker PGs get to run... What? AW8, what are you talking about? Anyways, whoa. I gotta say, some of the chat comments, um, I don't know, man. Like, I don't even know what that is. Giovanni says Scotty was Scotty Labassiere Barnes tonight. I don't know what that means either. Man, maybe I'm just fucked up. I don't know what any of you guys are talking about. This was Suggs' emotional Pat Bev beating the Clippers game. Yeah, it was definitely palpable and didn't feel fake in any way. Like it was, it was right off the bat. And again, yeah, when he banked that shot in was basically the exact same UCLA Gonzaga shot. Like I knew it was over. And I mean Schroeder, well, here's a mouthful. Schroeder and Suggs, I guess it's not that bad. Alvin would be like Schroeder and Shrugs. They got into a little bit. They were chatting at 10:30 into the first quarter. They were chatting at the free throw line a little bit. And then there was a hard foul, but that didn't really continue. Again, the only real juice or like spice was Dennis kind of at the start there, and then Scotty with the no look back 3-pointer or no look back dunk in transition. Other than that, yeah, the other game against Detroit where they were like razzing Malachi for not dunking and like, just kind of laughing at everything. Like that was not it's not the vibe at the Amway Center. I mean, it's so funny to me that there's a stadium called the Amway Center. Like just it's a public it's a publicly facing pyramid scheme that is somehow, yeah, anyways. I hope that they get like discounts on Amway products. I had a roommate that got into Amway at one point. Maybe we should talk about that because there's not that much to talk about in this game. Yeah, the Raptors doing these dumb overly aggressive fouls, just they're like not boxing out, they're not getting back in transition, but then they're just like, yeah, overly aggressively fouling on both ends of the floor. It's like you got to redirect, it's like some people in the chat, like you got to redirect that energy into something. Anthony Black maybe with the ugliest rookie jumper in the entire rookie class. I mean, that thing is fucking ugly. Like he can develop, but fuck me, that's an ugly shot. That's like worse than my shot. My shot sucks, but like that, I mean, holy shit, is that thing fucking ugly. Okay, okay, I've been talking about offensive rebounds and the Magic getting 25 more shot attempts than the Raptors. What were the rebounds? The offense, dude. Okay. Oh my god, it's worse than I thought. How many offensive rebounds do you guys think the Raptors got tonight? Tell me in the chat. How many offensive rebounds did the Raptors get tonight as a team? Don't all answer at once. It's less than 6 and more than 4. 5 offensive rebounds. It's crazy when you think about like if you add up all the minutes, like whatever 48 times 5 is, it's like in like 300, whatever it is, minutes, there's only 5 offensive rebounds. What did the Magic have? 15. Magic had 15 offensive rebounds. So that explains why they had, 25 more shots. I mean, just an ugly game. Nobody on the Magic was a minus except for the garbage time guys. Like everybody just pluses across the board. Raptors, same thing, except the inverse. Only the garbage time. Otto Porter, Garrett Temple are in the plus. Everybody else in the minus. Pascal only -7. So, interesting. OG -15. Scotty -22. Worst on the team. Yikes. Jakob Hurtle -13. Dennis Schroeder -11. And that Scotty Barnes -22 goes back to what someone said about the bench lineups. The Scotty and the bench lineups not working. And me just not really having a good answer to why that would be, other than there's not that many shooters off of the bench. But again, I'm going to need to go through like his possessions and like try to find something out. 5, you guys all guess 5. I was right. Aiden Pham says, where was Otto? I don't know. Good question. He started a game. Remember, like 3 or 4 games ago, he started one, and then he was out for personal reasons. Um, but yeah, I mean, again, the Raptors 4 for 28 from three. That seemed to be the only thing working for them. I don't know why that wasn't like leveraged more. So getting something like Otto would be good. Um, Angelo says people are saying the coach. People are talking. Not me, but people are talking. We should not be this bad. People are starting to say it's the coach. Angelo, who's saying it? Is it you or are people saying it? Sorry, I'm really stoned. Devin Smith, are we really keeping Precious, Boucher, Thad, Otto McDaniels, and Pascal all year? Why do we need so many inconsistent power forwards? Yeah, the overlap is wild. It is just, and then you look at who their G League prospects are. You got Justice Winslow. You could just slot him right in there. Ron Harper Jr. You can I guess he's small forward-ish, but same-ish, I guess. Like he's not like a guard really. Or I don't really even know what Ron Harper Jr. is. I haven't really seen him that much. And when he has been here, I've just been like, oh, okay. And that's the other depressing thing, about the organization where they're at. Like, they do not have a pipeline of, it's not like, OKC is the extreme example, but like, there's just not a pipe. They don't have that many draft picks, which that is also a weird thing to me because the draft is where they seem to like, they drafted Scotty, they drafted OG, they drafted Norman Powell, they drafted Pascal. Like that's where they seem to get their W's, but then you're trading away your draft pick for an offensive lineman, in the words of Pat Delaney. I mean, like in theory, can't like this, what was his name? Gogo Batazzi? Like I thought Liam Neeson killed this guy in Taken. And couldn't he be an offensive lineman? What does he make? Like $400,000 a year or something? I mean, yeah, it continues to not really make sense. So, Nameless. The motive was clear on the non-contact flop on OG. You got to have contact for it to be a flop. Missing the key ingredient. Is that part of the rule? I don't really know what the flopping rule is, but my argument is OG falls down every 4 minutes. So are they just going to start calling like 6 flops a game on OG? That's kind of how that's like what he does. That's part of the allure, is just how he falls down so much. Angelo, one guy on YouTube said it. There you go. A lot of people are talking. George Eckmeyer, getting 25 less shots than the Magic is unacceptable. I mean, yeah, you can look at all the stats. You can look at the shooting and strategies and stuff. Give me the team that gets 25 more shot attempts if I'm going to make any kind of bet, or give me that team every day of the week or whatever the saying is. And yeah, they both teams shot 50%. So it's, and there's just so many times that you could just see the Raptors don't really box. I guess like boxing out, I guess I sound like an old, do people under 25 know what boxing out is? Honest question. Like, do people in the chat know what boxing out is? Cause like when I was growing up, I'm 32 and a half. When I was growing up, if you didn't box out, that was like you'd be on the bench. Like that was akin to like almost went with the Josh Primo joke, but not that level. But like basically just like taking your shorts off. It would be like the same thing. It'd be like get on the fucking bench. Like what are you like? That was such a like that's something you had to do. Like you had to box somebody out. Like you had to find someone. Like that's kind of how it works. So if you're under 25 and you don't know what boxing out is, so typically if a shot comes, so you want to, if you're going for the offensive rebound, usually the offensive rebound is going to come at kind of the opposite angle of where the shot was. So if, extreme example would be if you're at the left corner, the most likely place is going to be in the right corner. If you're at the left elbow, the most likely place is going to be on the right. So you got to learn those angles. And that's really important in terms of boxing out, because that can determine the direction at which you box out. Like Dennis Rodman would study the spins off of the ball from like different players. So he knew that like this guy's spin was going to hit the rim, so it's probably going to go this way. But like, you don't have to get that psychotic about it. But in general, you want to position yourself to be in the best position to get the offensive rebound. And just because we have tons of data and stuff on this, like the ball typically goes in the same directions when they're shot from these places. Like you play the odds on that. And you take that into account when you're boxing out. But at the same time, there is also this fact of like you find once that shot goes up, like you find somebody to box out, and the Raptors don't do that. I mean, a lot of NBA teams don't do that, but like the Raptors tonight really, I mean, again, Anthony Black just coming in and getting rebounds. Precious Achiuwa is right there. Cole Anthony. How many fucking Anthonys are on this team? For me, no matter what ever Cole Anthony does ever in his career, he could become MJ and win 6 rings. He will always be the guy that took 7.5 minutes to put on a pair of Timbs at the dunk contest and then needed 18 to, like, I think he was the single reason that changed the dunk. Him and Jalen Green, actually, maybe even more Jalen Green. But those two guys, Jalen Green and Cole Anthony, forever changed the dunk competition with like the countdown, with the attempt limit, like, they changed the game forever. Like you can never take that away from Cole Anthony. He changed the dunk contest forever. I mean, an incredible clip to go back and watch. Like, I think baseball would be really difficult to be a broadcaster on. There's so much dead time, especially back in the day before the rules changed. But if you were doing, I forget who was it? Was it Kareem? I think Kareem like left. Like that went viral. Like he just got up and left. Like on Jalen Green's like 87th attempt. He just got up and left. But Cole Anthony was huge in that. So that's, no matter what Cole Anthony does for the rest of his life, he'll always be that for me. And he's actually Greg Anthony's son, who played on the Vancouver Grizzlies inaugural team in 1995. Who's also a broadcaster. Anyways. George Eckmeyer. It's true. I was thinking the whole team, why aren't we boxing out? These are basic things. We need to box out, get back on defense, and don't reach stupidly. Yeah, again, boxing out. It's just the reason you would get benched immediately for not boxing out is because it's one of the only things that any fucking person can do. Anybody. Like, it does not require you being smart. It does not require you being fast. It does not require you being strong. You don't have to have an IQ. You literally have to go, oh, there's somebody on the other team, and then you box them out. You don't have to have a cool jump shot. You don't have to have a slick pass. You don't have to have a bag. You don't have to have shake. You don't have to have shimmy. You don't have to have hezzy tween, anything. You locate somebody on the other team, and then you put your body in between them and where you think the ball is most likely going. And they don't do that. I don't know why. Precious just looking up, like, oh, there's the ball. Oh, there's the rebound. Oh, he went and got it. Oh, cool. He got Anthony Black. Great rebound and offensive rebound. And that's why you guys had 25 more shots than us tonight. That's crazy to think about. 25 more shots. Like, in theory, you have relatively the same amount of possessions-ish. Like, you're going to have turnovers, you're going to have, whatever. But, like, relatively in basketball, it's not really like hockey or soccer. Or like soccer, or football, or whatever. Teams will have 70% possession. Hockey, you can maybe not as much, but you can keep control of the puck for long periods of time. In basketball, like every time there's a bucket, you get the ball. And the maximum amount of time that can happen in theory with no offensive rebounds is 30 seconds. So like in general, for one team to have 25 more shots than the other team is just like, again, in soccer, it would kind of make sense because it's like, oh, we had possession for 72% of the game, we had X way more shots on goal or whatever. But in basketball, the possession is resetting constantly. Like, you're constantly getting these chances. And again, when the Raptors didn't shoot that poorly, I mean, 14 for 28 from three, but just not nearly enough attempts. Nameless. If the refs just call and see what the fairly, we would get more of what we saw against Detroit. 1,000%. Aiden Fam. I like fam. You know, that's not used enough in culture. The whole like fam and like cuz is cool too. At least our so this is Aiden Fam. At least our defense wasn't as terrible as the Indiana Atlanta game. Peep score. So I guess, is that the standard? You know, it's like, hey, I'm addicted to crystal meth, but at least it's not fentanyl. Great. Is that where we're at? Team had no drive last year, George Eckmeyer. At least the team last year got offensive rebounds. Again, like I said before, the Magic kind of played like the Raptors did last year, where they got so many more shots than the other team and just offensive rebounds. This is more of a joke, but like, keep it in your back pocket. Nick coaching this team to 500 might be remembered as better than the championship. Just keep that in your back pocket. Like, just keep that around, laying in your brain, and come May or whatever, that could be like a legacy thing, because yeah, on a lot of nights, it just, like, for me, I don't know if anybody else feels like this. Like, at any point, did you feel the Raptors were going to do anything in this game in terms of like a serious comeback? Like, I didn't have, at any point in this game, did I feel like the Raptors were building on anything, finding anything that worked, establishing any kind of consistency, establishing any kind of advantages. It's just like, and just like not getting back on defense, worst transition defense they've played this year for sure. Jalen Suggs playing football against these guys, either quarterback or receiver. Like, it was wild what they were giving up in transition, especially early. And again, like I said off the top, you know how pissed the coach is by how far they walk onto the court when they call the timeout. And Darko was walking all the way across the 3-point line. Like, he was coming out there with the timeout. Like, Darko was pissed tonight. I think he didn't get a tech. He wasn't screaming, but I sense, as part of a coping mechanism, talk about this in therapy quite a bit, but like, I can sense people's like rage or anxiety, and you could see it in his face that he was fucking pissed. And it's like, I joke about the box out stuff, but coaches hate that shit. Especially, I guess every coach is over 30, but like, yeah, if you grew up or if you were around in an era where boxing out existed, and then a team doesn't box out like that, doesn't get back on defense, again, these are things that anybody can do. Like, we could slot somebody into the chat. Somebody from the chat right now could be slotted into the game and box somebody out. We're not going to be good at it, not going to probably be effective, but like, you could do it. And the Raptors aren't doing it. Like, Precious isn't doing it. And I'm singling him out because in my brain, I just remember at least 3 or 4 times where he's just watching the ball, and then somebody who's 3 feet tall is coming in and getting the rebound. Like, it's a tough watch. Chris Willis says, let's be honest, Nick Nurse was right. I don't know if that was ever in question in terms of like, I guess it was with Masai saying the selfish thing. I think comparing like years and seasons is kind of like Bill Simmons-y. But on the other hand, it is still so fresh in our memories. But like, Nick was definitely right about some stuff. I think he obviously saw the deficiencies in the team and was like, the only way this team has any shot no pun intended, it like the Noah thing's not working out. Um, the only way this team has a shot is if we get 25 more shots than the other team and like lead in offensive rebounds, lead in transition. Whereas like Darko is kind of more we can move the ball and play the 0.5 thing and more off ball movement, more cutting, less ISO, more. What's the opposite of ISO? What's the snappy opposite of ISO? Less ISO, more DISO. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's just a different like mindset to come into the game with. Different defensive and offensive mindset. And I would say Darko's system would work a lot better if the team had shooting. But again, as someone who enjoys not only shooting but watching shooting, again, it's the whole Masai. I don't enjoy watching this team, but you built it this way. What were you like? That's what I would love to ask him. Like, what were you hoping to see from this? Like, we know what all the percentages are. We know what, it doesn't take a genius to see that there are, 28 teams that would probably put shooting number one. And then ironically, I'm not poor Grady, but kind of like I looked up the shooting stats for rookies. Grady's the 46th best rookie shooter right now. If you look at field goal percentage, field goals made, 3-point percentage, and 3-pointers made, if you combine those four stats, great. And what's even kind of worse than that is like the field goals made, like he's also played a ton of minutes. Like he's played way more games than a lot of these other players. So yeah, 46 best shooter so far for the rookies. Courtesy of #basketball, great website. I wish they had more stuff on there, but I just love the UI and the way you can like rejig the algorithm or whatever to look for to rank things in different ways. But yeah, the Raptors, they're like, hey, you know what? Let's go. And, wow, almost did a British thing. I mean, like, as I said before, like all the Raptors W's have pretty much, or a lot of them have come from drafting, like their talent has come from the draft. So at some degree, like you have to trust in, the draft that part at least I trust in. That's like the only part of the front office that I can like trust in. Like fully kind of like understand, but then at the same time, why are they getting rid of draft picks when that's the thing so it's kind of this double-edged sword. Again, a first pick for an offensive lineman when you're so good at doing these picks. And so you kind of have to just hope that Grady, obviously he'll improve, but improve to a level where it made sense to, because it's like, yeah, he's like got all these other ancillary. I know how to spell it, but I don't really know how to say it. Ancillary skills, but it's like, hey, the shot would be cool as well. I'm gonna butcher your name, Gurpitar. Man, wasn't Grady the best shooter in the class? I think if you did like all this, there's different ways to look at stats. There's different way to look at shooting, but I think, yes, like from the advanced metrics, I think, which is strange that he struggled this much because, I guess the 3-point line's different, but yeah. And like, as Will has pointed out in a lot of the pregame warmups and stuff, like his shot is missing in a lot of different ways. And you can kind of see that during the game. He has really nice mechanics. Like it looks really good. He's got a really nice tricep extension. Got a really nice overhead. I'd like to see how much weight he can move on an overhead tricep extension, but he's, what did he do tonight? I think he just came in garbage time. 1 for 3 from three. And I think he's shooting around 21% from three on the season. So good around kind of the Evan Mobley area of offense. James says, imagine paying OG $40 million a year. Imagine paying OG $40 million. Is it the money that's a problem for you? Like, you don't think he deserves like 40 million just like in general? Like, you're upset that he's making that, or as a percentage of your cap? Like, do you mean the philosophy of him making that much money, or how it would affect the Raptors cap situation? And I would ask, like, where else are you going to spend that money? Like, you going to give it to Precious, Jeff Doughton, Malachi, Ron Harper, or give Ron Harper Jr. a big extension? So is that a philosophy or part of the cap? You didn't answer my question. James, he's not a bad player, but 40 is too much. Do you mean in like as your worldview, like you don't think he should be making that much money as like a principled worldview stance, or the Raptors cap situation is fucked if he makes that much? Like what train track are you on here? That's very, very important delineation. Because yeah, I think I should be making at least that much money a year to play basketball. George Eckmeyer, I really don't want the Grady pick to be something we look badly on. Angelo, he said imagine, not ask questions. Angelo, you're very negative in the chat. Are you not having fun? Man, you guys got to do drugs more or something. Find a passion, you know. Chris Willis, the downfall of Kawhi leaving. If he stayed for 2 more years, so would have Gasol and Fred. The championship was like before the pandemic, you know, so it was like 20 years ago. I think that's pretty much it for my notes. I guess just people complaining that I'm like not doing this properly or whatever. I think this skating rink is closing up here behind me pretty soon, so I might have to tap out here. I think that's pretty much it for my notes. We looked through the box score. Yeah, just a meme type of game, just like a funny game to watch. And as Nameless says, you all need a little LSD. I agree. Fuck, man, I was watching Kenneth McDuff documentary last night. He's a famous serial killer from Texas. He killed 3 people, and then they put him in jail, and then he like slipped through the cracks. And he was born in Rosebud, Texas. He moved up to Waco. Shot 3 teenagers in a car, and then killed like a 4th, I think. He's known as the Broomstick Killer. Went to jail. This is like in the 60s. Went to jail, and then he got out on parole. And like he was on death row, and then they like got rid of death row in 72. So then he like was available for parole. Got out on parole, and then like everybody in Central Texas was freaked out that he would like move back to their hometown. And he ended up moving back to like Waco and then in this other place, and killed like 7 more people after being out on parole. And they were like trying to find a way to like arrest, like to stop him from, because he had now murdered like 11 people. And they found out that he sold LSD to somebody, and that's how they caught him. Like, that's so America, man. Like, I feel like a lot of people in the chat won't understand what I just said, but like 2 of you will. You know what I mean? What's going on? I only do shrooms and grass. Where's grass? Is that grass, but with a typo? Why are you telling us this story? Says Vegan Grass. I don't know. I'm out of ideas. What should I be talking about? I just spent 54 minutes talking about this game. I just spent 54 minutes talking about this game. Could anybody else in the world talk about this game tonight, the Orlando Magic versus the Toronto Raptors, for 54 minutes? This is disgusting. This should have been 32 minutes. Tops. Like the fact that I'm still talking about this, fact that I haven't closed the stream down because this was such a disgusting game. So yeah, that's why I'm talking about serial killers, because the Raptors were that bad. I have this, it's not a rule, but it's like you probably shouldn't watch serial killer documentaries right before, like the last thing before bed, and I did that last night. I watched that one, and then I watched oh fuck, it was the Boardwalk Killer in Daytona, in Florida. You know, Raptors just played a Florida team, so this one was in Florida. That's all I got. I don't remember that much from it. I was kind of falling asleep at that point, but the other one was crazy. I went to Florida in 2008, and I would say, I can't remember the area we were in Miami, but like probably the scariest place I've been. Like I was in some pretty sketchy places in Colombia. But yeah, I think Miami was like, it's like, whoa. Jacksonville was just a bunch of like highways, just freeway spaghetti off ramps and shit. And then I didn't really, Daytona Beach was nice. Fort Lauderdale, I don't really know, but then Miami was kind of scary. It's my Florida intel. Weird place, you know. I think if the Raptors would have had Javon Freeman Liberty, which I swear was like an invention by the DeSantis campaign, they could have fared better against the Magic and the Amway Center. Would have been like a superpower in the Amway Center. I love that arena name. Okay. I think that's pretty much it. The Raptors lose in embarrassing fashion. Just a meme game. I think the hopes of the in-season tournament are pretty much down the drain, you know. I think there was Savannah Hamilton, you know, got us a great scoop, as she always does, about how, you know, the Raptors want to start every game, or want to be good in every game, you know. In season, regular season, preseason, summer league season, they want to be good, you know. It's a good scoop. And they just weren't. They just yeah, the in-season tournament. I think Boston might win that. For they need to reconfigure the divisions to some, I don't know. And last thing I'll say, I fucking hated the court. I'm sorry. I'm in like the minority. All the courts that I love are the ones that everybody hates. Like I love the Portland Trailblazers red one. That's just like blood, looked like something from The Shining. Like I fucking love that. I wouldn't want to watch that every game. But if we're just gonna do like a meme thing once in a while, I thought the Magic court was fucking boring. Like the Orlando Magic as an organization seemed to be on the quest to find like the least interesting shade of blue. Like they started out in the 90s with that like baby powder blue. Some of the nicest. I had a Magic warm-up jacket growing up. I think I had a Magic jersey, but I definitely had a black warm-up jacket with like the blue, like the old school blue Magic with the ball. Like it was like a, not a what's like a, those, you know, those like soccer-y kind of jacket. It's more like a warm-up jacket, you know, with the gold things that kind of buckle in on the bottom, where you can zip it up a little bit on the side. And like through the years, they just seem to be getting like more muted. And then like tonight's court, I was like, did LinkedIn make this court? Like when I heard, when I you know, heard Orlando Magic in-season tournament court. Like my brain just registered like that 90s powder blue with like a black line in the center. Like the center part is like dark black like the Raptors was, and then the whole rest of it is that like 90s powder blue. Like that would have, to me, that would have been like super cool. I thought this one was just like it reminded me of like the Brooklyn Nets court every other game of the year, which I, by the way, don't like. I like Boston's court. I hate that I like their court, but I like the fuck do you call it when it's like a wood palette. They're all like going different directions. I kind of like that. So yeah, even the fucking court didn't do it for me. And I know we talked about this the other game, but like I didn't think I thought the Raptors court looked good in pictures and in theory, but the glare was just too crazy. They got to figure out the glare on the black court. Also, I think black court, white ball would be nuts. Just like aesthetically, they should do colored balls that pop on the courts that they're on. I don't know what you would do with this one tonight, the LinkedIn court. Maybe like a red ball, I guess. I don't know. But that to me, it was just kind of like, yeah. And the courts that people are complaining about, like the Phoenix Suns, the Portland Trail Blazers, just give me that. Just give me the whole, like, looks like 25 people died on this thing. Like, just blood red. Like, Roman Empire type shit. So, yeah. Give the Tony Wonder Award to Dennis and the Anvil Award to... I don't even know. Like, who do you even want coming in on this team? Anvil, by the way, is a character from Arrested Development that everybody always, like... It became a joke just forgetting her. With just, like, she's the most like, they left her in Mexico at one point, and, like... You know, George Michael was dating her for like I don't know how long, and his dad still didn't know who she was and stuff. So my Anvil Award is like who do they forget about tonight? Like who's the forgotten soldier? I mean, I guess give it to Otto. 5 minutes, 2 for 2 from the field in garbage time, I guess. Yeah, that's an easy one actually. Give it to Otto. Where the fuck's Otto at? So it's Dennis and Otto. Cool. And we cleared an hour and 2 minutes.